one more time again. One more time again. Fire and rain. Fire and rain. And I've seen fire, I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you one more time again.
Yaron, thank you. How beautiful. What a pleasure to hear your voice singing some James Taylor for us and some Fire and Rain. So happy to have you here today with us. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, and I'm the spiritual leader here for the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And it's my honor and my privilege to have you join us today for our Sunday morning service. And so I have turned, please don't scream. So I've turned all of
No audio. I don't have any audio. I guess I'm going to go because I can't hear anything. Oh, well, I'll get it later.
Okay. All right. Nope. So technology.
Can't get it going.
Technology.
Oh, well.
Hey, I'm going to take a deep breath. How about all of you? Let's take a deep breath. So good morning once again to everyone. Welcome to our technological service, our live stream service from the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And I want to welcome you to being here with us.
No audio, huh? Are you not getting it?
That we get everyone muted because someone really is feeling the need to be a part of this right now. So
I'm just going to go. Okay.
Nancy, we can hear you. We can hear you. I'm sorry. So once again, let's all take a deep breath in, specifically for me, and we'll exhale. Had some technological challenges this morning, but I believe that's part of the world that we live in today, of knowing that the journey that's in front of us is one where we get to choose to know who we are. So we are here coming together at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And so it's a real privilege to come together this morning in this new and wonderful setting that we have called the world of virtual reality. And so we have a wonderful service planned for you this morning, and I look forward to sharing that with you and having you be a part of that in the context of, we're going to keep your cameras and your audio off and ask that you just be recipient today to just simply receive what is taking place here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, where we are a community that's come together for many, many years, and today is a new day for each and every one of us as we move into this 31st year of our community, formerly known as the Los Angeles Church of Religious Science. And so I want to welcome you all and say hello to you. And as I was just asking you all to breathe with me, I love the image on the screen of allowing the light of the divine to come into each one of us. And then we breathe that back out to each other with healing, loving, compassionate breaths. And so at this time, I'm going to ask you that if you have the need to turn your audio on, to please do not do that, to keep your cameras off for the purpose of, we need the screen space for the service itself. And as I said a moment ago, to just sit back and relax and feel the energy. And so right now together, let's feel the light of the divine coming into our crown chakra as it is with this beautiful woman on the screen. Exhaling it out through our mouth, blowing petals of gold to all those that are sharing this experience with us in a welcoming namaste way, remembering that the God, the power, the light, the love of the divine that exists within you exists within me. And since we're not bound by physicality, no matter that we're in quarantine. In general, we're not bound by physicality as energetic beings. Today, we choose to send that energy out to everyone on the planet, and specifically to those that are participating in this online service called the Celebration Service for the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And so we come together every Sunday morning, as we have now for many, many years. And as I said earlier, we do that in a new setting today. And so the new setting that we have is virtually. It's online. But we come together to look at what it is that we teach here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. What we teach is primarily the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes through the science of mind. Dr. Holmes published a book in 1926 after many years compiling what he believed to be the strengths and the greatest aspects of the great wisdom traditions of the world at the time, and compiled that in a very concise philosophy, faith, and way of life known as the science of mind. The essence really of what the science of mind is that there's only one power that's taking place. That power exists by means of you and exists by means of me. We call it God, we call it the thing itself, we call it life, we call it love. And that we know that through our minds and our thoughts and our hearts and our being of life, the way that we use our mind to both express and experience this power brings into our field of experience a reflection of that very thing. That we live in a universe that's governed by spiritual law, and that these laws bring forth into our experience exactly what's going on in our mind. So we're going to take a look at that today, about how we are using our mind during this time in life, and is it any different than any other time in life? But we're going to have a refresher course, if you will, on this teachings of the teachings of the science of mind, and look at it from a new perspective today. And then lastly, what is our vision? As a spiritual community, our vision is to support individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so today, as we come together, and every time that we come together, we as a community are here to support you finding your personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so what that means for you is going to be different than what it means for me. But the essence of a spiritual awakening from our philosophy is that you become the individual more in tune with their divine nature, remembering that the qualities of the divine that exist by means of me and you and life itself are peace, power, beauty, joy, light, life, love, and wisdom. And so as you take that in and remember that we are each those qualities, let's have our morning ritual. And our morning ritual today is one of remembering who we are as a spiritual being. And so the prayer that I have for us today is this. It's the protection prayer. And it reads, "The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The mind of God guides me. The life of God flows through me. The laws of God direct me. The power of God abides within me. The joy of God uplifts me. The strength of God renews me. The beauty of God inspires me. Wherever I am, God is." And so as we do each and every Sunday morning, I'm going to light a candle. The candle that I'm lighting today is the fragrance of black orchid. You'll understand the symbolism of that momentarily in my message. But I want us to remember that this flickering flame that we see in this candle right now is a reminder that within you and within me and within all sentient beings is the flickering flame of this God we speak of, this ever-present, omniscient, impersonal, infinite power we call God. And so as I stated earlier, one of the qualities within us is peace. And every Sunday morning we come together and sing a song called "Let There Be Peace on Earth, and Let It Begin with Me." And so as we begin that song right now, Yaron's going to take us on the journey of the song, and I invite you to join in and sing along. And we'll complete that with my giving us an affirmative prayer or a spiritual mind treatment. Yaron?
peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my soul and vow to take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And so just taking in the energy of peace itself, we choose in this moment to let it begin with me. We trust and know in this very moment that we are the very thing itself. You're the very thing itself in action. And so we let peace begin with us right here and right now. Remembering that the outer always reflects the inner. And so today is the day that we learn anew. And today is the day that we're ever so grateful to know that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us, that the mind of God guides us and the life of God flows through us, that the laws of God direct us and the power of God abides within us. The joy of God and the strength of God uplifts and renews us, for the beauty of God inspires us. Wherever this power is, we call God, the thing itself, life itself, source, is where we are. And wherever we are, it is. And we let it be, as we say together, and so it is. So it's my pleasure to have our musician back with us today that has been with us of certainly the first time out that we did our online service. His name is Jonathan Hawkins, and he's going to come onto the screen in a moment unless I'm supposed to bring him here. There he is. Hi, Jonathan. The last time we had Jonathan with us, he was in Florida. He has since now traveled to New Jersey to get ready for some big projects that's taking place on the East Coast and in Provincetown, some very exciting projects that he shared with us the other day on the tech rehearsal. And as he knows more about it, I'll make sure he lets us know so that we can share with all of you and you can be a participant in these great theatrical musical events that Jonathan is producing online in the virtual world of entertainment. But more than that, it's just always a pleasure to have Jonathan here with us in the community of Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Jonathan is truly a piece of our heart. He knows that, and I know that we all love him dearly. And so Jonathan's singing a song today. Of course, you guys know me. I requested the song. It certainly is going to tie into my message today, but I can't imagine anyone singing it any better than Jonathan does. So ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Jonathan Hawkins.
Thank you, Keith. When all the clouds darken up the skyway, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane to a place beyond the sun, just a step beyond the rain. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why and why can't I? Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me. Where troubles melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds, they fly over the rainbow. Why, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh, Jonathan, so wonderful. Thank you. There's a huge round of virtual applause coming from us, and you did a magnificent job. Thank you. I could tell you were feeling that, and I'm sure you're not only enlightening us, I know you're enlightening everyone in New Jersey right now as well. So we'll come back to you later. Thank you, Jonathan. So the Wizard of Oz is where this song comes from. We all know that, I'm sure. And this week I was thinking a lot about the story of the Wizard of Oz, of how Dorothy was seeking to escape, really, if you will, from the home environment that she was in, wanting to have a new perspective on life, that didn't really appreciate where she was at and what life was giving her in the moment. And in reflection, I'm sure that's been true for each and every one of us over these last few weeks, that we reflect on a time when we wished life could be different. I was sharing with the Board of Trustees that there have been some moments in December and January where I kept saying to them, I just want to do our Sunday church different. I want to do it different. I want to do it different. And boy, did the universe respond to my request different. But one of the things I love so much about this song is it talks about somewhere over the rainbow, that I get to see where the bluebirds fly. When troubles melt like lemon drops high above the chimney top, that's where you'll find me. What that speaks to me metaphorically and metaphysically is that you and I have the ability, we have the capacity to transcend the current conditions of our life and take a higher viewpoint, not just physically, not just geographically, but to do that by moving deep into our soul and allowing our stuff to become awakened on our spiritual journey. If we choose to do that from a place of deep wisdom, from deep knowing, from using the intelligence that exists within us, of trusting the journey itself, what will be revealed to us, much like it did to Dorothy, is that we were home all along. That not necessarily just home in the sense of being physically at home, but home is that place deep within us where the power of the divine resides. It's that place within us where we know, and we know that we know, and we know that we know that we know that we indeed are peace, power, beauty, light, life, love, and wisdom. And I don't apologize for saying that a lot right now during this time, because I think it's important for us to remember that's who we are. That's inherent with all sentient beings. And it seemed to me that life as we knew it was being an experience that was contradictory to that, that as a community, not just CSLLA, but a community of humanity, and I talked of it often in the times leading up to this quarantine, that we seem to have forgotten how to take care of each other, how to hold a higher idea for each other, to live with compassion, to live with kindness, as I spoke about last week, and to live from that place of love. Well, we're still in the month of April, and so the theme that I have for us for the month of April is plant, seed, and flower. And so the remainder of this service, I'm going to take us through hold on just one second. I just had a technical difficulty and I was so proud of what was happening. Let's see, there we go. It's still not doing it. Okay, one moment, here we go. But we're still in the month of April. And so that theme, the theme of plant, seed, and flower is still true for us. And so I want to remind you and ask you to ask yourself during this time, what have you planted in the form of a seed with the expectation of a flower to show up in your life? That to ask yourself is what you're seeking the highest and the best. The theme that I have for today is the pot of gold. To get clear while our seed is still in the ground of being the plant, to hold the highest idea of the optimum of this seed manifesting itself through the plant into the flower in our life, of being the highest vibration possible, to be the thing that brings us joy and excitement and a sense of fulfillment as we've participated in a co-creative process of bringing through our mind, through our life, and through the use of the law of life into our field of experience, that which is a reflection of the state of mind that we have not only today, but have been choosing to hold in this phase of our life. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Well, to get to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, we have to have the rainbow. And so I want us to take a look today the rainbow symbolize and mean? Well, in metaphysical terms, the rainbow is this. In traditions, the rainbow symbolizes hope, connection, and unity of spirit between all things. It represents the links between spirit and body, the celestial. What we're being told is that by the time we plant that seed into the plant, into the ground, the fertile soil, if you will, for it to become the plant, that is that connection, if you will, between spirit and all things. It's that link between the creative spirit itself, the creative process, and the body, the effect, the flower coming into life. It is that place of the celestial universe and earth. In other words, it's that place between you and between me where creation exists. It's that place so often in life where we have to trust and have faith that what we desire to experience in life will be made manifest. And for that to happen, you and I must not tend to it, not mess with it, not screw around with it while it's in that fertile soil of subjective mind. The fertile soil of subjective mind. Well, what is the fertile soil of subjective mind? It is that place where conscious mind plants an idea, if we're looking at it from a mental creative process. It is that place where our deep-rooted beliefs exist. It is that place where race mind consciousness exists. It's the place where law creates the experience in life. It's where the manifestation or the demonstration, if you will, takes form. And so today I would like for us to remind ourselves of what it is that we seek to experience in this fertile soil of subjective mind, and are we willing to spend time and energy within the darkness while the creative process is taking place? So often in metaphysics, we forget that darkness is part of life itself. And we're told here that darkness is the fertile soil of the soil. the fertile soil of the soul. Say that 3 times. Darkness is the fertile soil of the soul. For darkness is the fertile soil of the soul. Darkness is the fertile soil of the soul. So what does that mean? What that means to us from a metaphysical perspective is this. It's the ignorance of the human. Darkness is the absence of truth or light in consciousness, as well as darkness represents an undeveloped capacity. It is caused by a lack of love. And so when you and I are in this process of fearing the very thing that we desire to experience, i.e. the pot of gold, it's because we're living in a state of ignorance of the truth of who we are. And so our opportunity in that moment is to revert back to being able to live in the darkness while at the same time knowing that we already are intrinsically and inherently light, as well as life and peace and power and beauty and joy and wisdom. And that when this darkness emotionally or from a feeling perspective rises up, it's just simply an undeveloped capacity, much like fear. Dr. David Walker used to tell us that when fear showed up in our being, in our body, it's telling us that there was something else we needed to know. And so I ask you to ask yourself today, what is it that you need to know in a new way during this time that appears to be darkness oriented? And to ask yourself, are you giving yourself enough love? Are you reflecting the love of the divine that exists within you to yourself and to all of humanity? Let's not forget that Dr. Ernest Holmes defines love as the self-givingness of spirit whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself, and the only way that it can do that is through you and through me. What we're being told, as it was with the rainbow, is that for us to experience that connection between spirit and life itself, love indeed is the guiding force. And so it's important for us today to garner a new perspective in regards to darkness. For darkness is not always a bad thing. Darkness just simply is the natural process, the natural cycle of darkness, if you see, is darkness moving to light and light moving to darkness. Another way of looking at that is the yin and yang symbol. It's important for us to remember that darkness is equally as important as light. We learn that through the works of Carl Jung oftentimes, that shadow, that dark place that exists within our consciousness is very viable as long as we're willing to take a look at it. It's important for us to understand the yin and yang, this harmonious balance of darkness, of black, of white, of darkness and light exists within us. And it's critical to have this yin and yang be present in life so that you and I both live in a life of darkness and light, of yin and yang, of harmony and balance. But not to spend too much time in the darkness, because as we know, the balance is important. For if we spend too much time there allowing ourselves to live in the space of despair or depression or disorientation of confusion, it's in that state of mind we will not drive out darkness. To transcend and to transform and to bring forth a higher vibrational frequency of light, through the darkness, light is required. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has told us that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. As well as hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And so we're being told from a multitude of sources here that is an end to darkness in our life. But at the same time, to remember that we're called to a higher state of mind, a higher frame of mind to transcend that darkness and move through it, to transform it into an experience of life that reflects our innate nature. Carl Jung, as I spoke of a moment ago, told us, Carl Jung, the great psychotherapist, the one who brought to us many different elements in regards to the fields of psychiatry, anthropology, archaeology, literature, philosophy, and religious studies, that as far as we can discern, the source of the human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. to kindle a light. What he's telling us there is certainly the concept of kindling a light means that rubbing two sticks together. But what I want us to look at as awakened metaphysicians is our kindling is just simply to stop the insanity, if you will, that's going on in our minds, to honor and respect the darkness as it existed, and then to call forth that light that is already within us. It's the light that exists, the metaphorical light that we lit the candle for today. It's always there, it always has been, and it always will be. So when he tells us to rekindle this light into the existence of mere being, what is he really speaking of? He's speaking of that manifestation process of moving from what was to the very thing we desire for it to be. But it's important for you and I to remember that this entire journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, and that awakening stage of appreciating darkness and light, is one that takes time. It's typically not something that happens overnight. And it's important for you and I to be comfortable with the journey that we're on, for let's not forget that there is a cycle of darkness to light. However, because we're co-creative beings, because we're sentient beings, because we're conscious beings, and because we're contemplative beings, you and I have the ability to not only transcend to where the bluebirds fly and look down over the rainbow as the co-creative process is taking place, but to also choose what feelings that we want to have during that time. To remember that the innate nature of the cycle of life is flowing through and as you, and it's flowing through me and as me as well. And so we live in this universe that seems to be duplicitous, that we're spiritual beings having a divine experience while we're divine beings having a human experience, except it's simultaneous. It's one activity taking place on two different levels. And you and I both have the mental wherewithal to use our creative abilities while appreciating the journey itself. And there's no more of a greater time than to do that right now during this time of the coronavirus that exists in our world, to remember not only who we are, but the power that we have to transcend the experiences that's taking place while being reflective. Last week, I shared with us this acronym of converting our values into demonstrations, reminding you that demonstration is just simply another word for a manifestation. And so I invite you to ask yourself right now, what values are you holding in regard to that which is being co-created in your life? Are you willing to take a higher stand right now and see this process of riding the rainbow in a new way to get to the pot of gold? So I have an example for us to remind us of how this creative process works and what our role is in it. And so I have it on the screen to remind us that sometimes we want something. We want it now. And we do our affirmations and our spiritual mind treatments. We set our intention and we get so excited because we know with faith, our manifestation or demonstration is on the way. I invite you to take a moment right now and ask yourself, or remind yourself of the very thing that you are desiring to manifest or demonstrate in your life, and connect with how you're feeling of how that may or may not have shown up. It's important to understand that set this creative process in motion, and then oftentimes time passes by and still no result. Possibly we can become frustrated and ornery and wish it would happen already. However, it's important for us to remember that before we start cursing at the universe for not bringing us with what we desire, to stop and get clear about the desire and why it's not happening in our timeline. Could it be that the value that we hold for what we are desiring to experience is not in alignment with our divine nature? Could it be that we're attempting to manipulate something out of fear or greed? Could it be that we're just simply frustrated and anxious and not really willing to remember the time that life worked out as it always does, and to remember that the process that we're leaning into and expressing that is a vital part, if you will, is unfailing by nature. It's important for us to remember this process. When an egg is in incubation, a little chick has to be allowed to form. For it does not happen overnight. If one tries to force the chick to hatch prior to being ready, it will be damaged. What is forming inside will not be allowed to follow its natural manifestation process. This can be the same for the very thing that we desire to manifest or demonstrate in our life. Most times, things need time to form. If we attempt to force it, we risk receiving nothing but an empty shell. Obviously, an empty shell here is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for not trusting the creative process of the transformation of idea into form. I love this little animated graphic on the screen of the caterpillar turning into the butterfly and understanding this metamorphosis that takes place, this manifestation, if you will, through transformation. Well, what is it you and I are being transformed, being called to transform today? We're being called to remember to follow the rainbow, because at the end of the rainbow is the pot of gold. And that sometimes that's an overnight process. Sometimes it's a 31-day process. And sometimes the timeline to experience the very thing we desire keeps getting moved and moved and moved. And as it seems like life seems to be out of our control of when we're going to be able to be outside our homes and to come together and service together at our center, or to go out to dinner with friends, to remember that the gold that we're seeking is the purity of the spiritual aspect of all that is. That what we're seeking to experience, this pot of gold, is transcendent of what you and I expect it to be. That creation that takes place on a natural rhythm is the rhythm of the divine. And the pot of gold that will show up for you and I at the end of the rainbow of this time that we've been quarantined as life looks different, will indeed look different. It's important to remember that the gold that we're seeking is symbolic of a spiritual development in the realm of a complete understanding of an allowing of and maintaining communion with the source of all being. As you and I choose to commune with Source, with God, with the power during this time and all times, we shall rise up to a vibrational frequency that is more in alignment with the thing itself. And ultimately, what we shall return to will not be a return at all, but will be an experience of something that is new. And so I want to remind us that the gold that's at the pot of in the pot at the end of the rainbow that you and I are seeking to experience emits an energy that prompts one to allow beauty to come forth from an inner being as one travels through the world of experiences. That we have talked about at the Center for Spiritual Living for quite some time, acknowledging the map of consciousness that Dr. David Hawkins creates, and the objective being to move up that field, that map of consciousness, by choosing to emit a higher vibrational frequency that's more in alignment with our divine nature, by choosing to align ourselves with that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, that which is the pure spiritualness of all that is, that we are rising our physical vibration and emit this vibration in a way that's going to take us to a journey of life and experiences of life that have yet to be experienced. And those are good things should we choose to remember that is what we're here to do. This pot of gold, this energy assists one in activating, mobilizing, and actualizing the intrinsic potential of the self. In other words, to choose to be okay with revealing a divine being from a human experience in a new way. New is what's being called forth today. Sonia Renee tells us that we will not go back to normal when this ends, for normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. We should not long to return to that, my friends, for we are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. And so it's time. Now is the time to turn lead into gold. From an alchemical process that is turning heat on the beaker of the darkness, the lead that's in that very beaker, and through the natural process of playing with the heat of transformation, the ultimate outcome is gold. It's the purity. It's the actualization of our divine nature. But the question is that magic or is it a miracle? Well, I believe it's a miracle in the sense that a miracle contains the gift of grace. For the gift of grace is given and received as one. And since we all know there's only one activity ever taking place, that of the divine, that miracle that we align ourselves with simply is being in the flow of the divine, that spiritualness, that allness, creating and revealing itself through us in a way that is of a higher vibration. So today is the day to embrace those miracles and to remember that forgiveness is the home of these miracles. That for you and I to move upward in this map of consciousness, forgiveness is required. Forgiveness for any indiscretions that we've placed upon ourselves during this time of feeling less than or angry or what we may have said or done to someone else, or simply just a feeling of unworthiness. And let go today of that. And remember that a miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. Love, not just in that human sense, not just in that agape sense, but love, as Dr. Ernest Holmes says, is the desire for spirit to create more of itself out of itself. And the only way it can do that is through you and through me today. And so I invite you today to embrace the energy of love, the energy, that golden energy of purity, and to let go of anything in your life where we felt it's okay to have greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, or lack. And let's remember that darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And fear cannot drive out fear. Only faith can do that. And so in closing, I want to give us a quick, very easy 5 simple steps to manifest our pot of gold at the end of our rainbow. Number 1 is to set our intentions. Number 2 is to open our heart. Number 3 is to raise our vibration. Number 4 is to trust and surrender. And number 5 is to have gratitude for what is. Let's set our intention today, open our heart, raise our vibration, trust and surrender, and have gratitude for what is. My affirmation for us this week is this: today I trust the process. I open to my journey and embrace the all of my life. I own my pot of gold. I ready myself for the experience of it. Let's take a deep breath and I'll say it together. Today, I trust the process. I open to my journey and embrace the all of my life. I own my pot of gold, and I ready myself for the experience of it. Let's all take a deep breath in and let that take root. As we take another deep breath in and let it take root. And so it is. So our next song by Jonathan Hawkins is aligned with what I've just been speaking of. And so it's my great pleasure to bring Jonathan back onto our service to a song that many of us are familiar with. My recollection of probably the first time I heard it was by Cyndi Lauper. And so as Jonathan comes back to join us, he will sing to us time after time.
I think you need to start my video, if you would.
All right, hold on just 1 second there, Jonathan. Get to
We're
you.
learning this together.
Here we go.
Perfect.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Hawkins.
You with the silence. Don't be discouraged, though I realize it. It's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all. Darkness inside you can make you feel so small. I see your true colors shine through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. Show me your smile then. Don't be unhappy. Can't remember when I last saw you laughing. If this world makes you crazy, you're taking all you can bear. You just call me up, 'cause you know I'll be there. I see your true colors shine through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow. If this world makes you crazy, you've taken all you can bear. You just call me up, because you know I'll be there. I see your true colors shine through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors. Your true colors are shining through. I see your true colors, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you so much. So beautiful. Can't wait to hear more about these shows you're producing so that we can share it with everyone.
I look forward to it.
As well as Jonathan will be part of our concert this Friday night at 6 p.m. We're so excited to have him be a part of that. So everyone, you'll hear more about that later, but make sure to tune in to hear Jonathan and our other wonderful musicians. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And stay safe there. All right.
Thank you very much.
And so now everyone, excuse me, it's time that we come together for our conscious giving. This is a time for us to share of our financial good to support this community and this ministry as we continue to bring you not only programming, but time together and to do our part in supporting each and every individual in finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so please know in advance that all that you give is deeply appreciated and honored and put back out into the universe because we're a tithing community. And so 10% of all that comes in goes back out to those that are in need. And so the manners in which you can do so, your options, if you will, of giving are as follows. You can go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate. You can go to the app in the App Store, which is Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Click on the upper left bars, and the screen will come up and you'll see the donate tab. You can mail in a check. Our address is CSL LA, 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038. I'm making a 1-week pickup there, so I'm deeply appreciative of all that are sending checks in there. Or you can call me directly, and there's my number on the screen. I can handle that in a private manner for you. And so just know that we're deeply appreciative of all that you're giving and supporting us in our ministry as we continue on this journey of expressing and creating and doing our spiritual community in a new way. And so I invite you to take a deep breath in and just know with me that good is present in today's world. And as we give, we do so with an open hand. For giving cannot take place with a clenched fist. And so we give today as if we're giving gold, the pureness of all there is, emitting the energy of the very thing that we desire to experience more of, trusting and knowing that the law of life is always at work, so that which we seed returns to us in form. And that's true of money as well. And so today, what we give is multiplied abundantly and returns to us in blessings in ways that makes the world a better place. And we let it be as we say together, and so it is. And Yaron's going to take us through our song of giving.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here, right now.
Thank you, Yaron. So beautiful. So while we have Yaron on the screen, Yaron, would you like to, I know that they can't see you right now because I have the screen share up, but would you like to tell everybody about the concert that's coming up on August 24th and who's in it, and what you guys are doing?
Sure. Keith came up with this great idea of getting a lot of the artists that we've been, having guest artists every week to come together and kind of like talk about the songs that are helping them get through this period of time, and some of the best songs that you guys liked and heard. And they all got really excited and to be just in one place virtually, of course, and sing for you guys. So they're very excited. We're picking the right songs, making sure the right keys, making sure everything sounds good on Zoom. And it'll happen at 6 o'clock this Saturday.
Friday.
Friday. I knew. I knew I was gonna fail there, but yeah. So we're looking forward for that, and there are gonna be some original songs, some covers. It's gonna be great.
Thank you, Ron. So happy to. Really appreciative of your putting that together and us having a wonderful experience that will take place for our community and anyone that you all would like to invite for that. So really looking forward to that time next Friday night when we can come together. Hopefully we can get hundreds on the screen with us to really take in our musicians who are working hard to provide this concert for us. It is on a love offering basis. We're not charging people to come and experience it. We just really want to be able to support our community and have you all support us to the best of your ability that feels right to you, but just really come together in community and musically relax and have a good time and hear some beautiful music from people that we love and that loves us. To remind you that if you wanted an easier way to contribute this morning, there's a one-click in the chat window. You can go in there. Rob has put together just a one-click that will take you right to our PayPal site and give you the option to do that. To give you an update on some things that are happening right now here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, I just shared with you that our concert is taking place this Friday night at 6 p.m. Please watch for announcements that will come out all through weekly e-newsletter and other methods that we're using for communication right now, our social media of Instagram, Facebook, as well as the phone calls that I'm making to everyone. So please be aware of that. The musicians that we have scheduled for that are Alice, James Harper, Jonathan Hawkins, Omer Shaish, and Yaron Spiwak. And so I want you to know that it's got a great time is in place for that. A reminder that our coffee clutch continues on Wednesdays at noon. We only had a couple of people there last week, so it'd be really great if you could put in your schedule to come and join us for that experience. It's a time to just connect and talk about what's going on from a spiritual perspective. We played a little game of picking some light oracle cards and seeing what meaning those had to us in our life. And it's a great time to come together in community and support each other and support me as well as I support you on this journey right now of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening in a new way. Our Thursday evening snappy hour continues. We had a little bit more people there this Thursday. We'd love to have you join us Thursday at 5:30, where we come together and share poetry and jokes and stories, and just really a great opportunity to let our hair down and have some fun. Wanted to remind you that our weekly e-newsletter goes out on Tuesday or Wednesday throughout the week. So if you're receiving that, that's great. And if not, and you'd like to sign up, you can go to our website. Also want to remind you to remember that our practitioners are available. If you need healing, you can find their information on our website, as well as on the app, as well as you can go onto the app and request spiritual mind treatment, and that can be put into play for you, as well as feel free to reach out to them through here. And our website is csl-la.org. And so I'm going to invite you to turn your cameras on right now if you would like to do that so you can see each other as we close out in meditation. And just a reminder, if you go up to the top of the right portion of your screen that says, you'll see a little sign that it says gallery view, and then to the right of that is another view. If you click on those, you'll be able to see more people and you can say a big hello and a wave. At the end of the service today, I'm going to let everyone stay on a little bit. If you'd like to chat and catch up, we'll stop the recording and pretend like you're walking to the lobby of Congregation Kolami and having some coffee and a little pound cake. I'm going to ask that you stay muted during this time until I unmute you while we go through meditation. So just 1 second, please.
Yeah.
So just going to remind you to stay muted, please. I know. I have a hard time following instructions too. All right, just 1 second. So let's all take a deep breath. breathing in the energy of today. Times there was a bit of chaos, of darkness, and yet of light. So we inhale together to a count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Exhaling out through our mouth. 1, 2, 3. Let's remember in a new way that the light of God surrounds us. And the love of God enfolds us. That the power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. As the mind of God guides us. For the law of God flows through us. The power of God abides within each and every one of us. For the joy of God uplifts us. And the strength of God renews us. For the beauty of God inspires us. And we remember that wherever we are, this power, God, is. And wherever it is, we are.
Oh, there we are.
No, that's you.
I know.
And we let it be. And before we say so it is, I'm going to take a moment and let's express gratitude for those that helped bring the service together today. Robert Hensley, Travis Smith, Yaron Spiwak, and Jonathan Hawkins. And we say together, and so it is.
So it is.
So it is.